He is precious to me and beautiful, and I love him. Oh, okay. Well, sorry. I squeezed you too tight. Yeah, you're fine. Okay. This is a new game. I've never played it before. I have no idea what it's about, and I don't even know what the DLC would be. Eldritch Box DLC. I don't know. I don't have any of that, I don't think. No idea. Okay. Options. I don't know what that is. Other. There, let's go. Let's see. Dagon is a faithful interactive interpretation of H.P. Lovecraft's work focused on story and atmosphere. You will not find difficult choices, action sequence, or inventory management here. The movement is limited to progressing through locations along with the plot.
I am writing this under an appreciable mental strain, since by tonight I shall be no more.
Some of them will allow you to continue your journey. Others reveal interesting facts about the original short story. Blah, 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 blah. Okay. Of course, I'm using a keyboard and mouse, so I don't want to take that.
Penniless, and at the end of my supply of the drug which alone makes life endurable. I can...
Paint.
Though never fully realize why it is that I must have forgetfulness or death.
Is there anything else I can click on? Morphine! Uh-oh, I got a friend. Excited for... I'm gonna send him an expletive that's totally effing cool. Idea what's about HP. Active short story. No, there we go. Okay. Alright. Morphine introduction. You need to know the history of morphine. Thank you. At the time when Dagon was published, morphine abuse, known as soldier's disease, already posed a huge problem in the United States. Yeah, sure. I mean, I do, at the same time, I kinda don't. You know, it's fine. Anything else I can find here? Okay.
It was in one of the most open
I'll look at that
and
later.
least frequented parts of the broad Pacific that the packet of which I was supercargo fell a victim to the German sea raider.
I mean, there's nothing else to look at. It's just a... I don't even know what type of ship that is. Are those guns? That can't be guns. They're way too big. I guess they are.
So that our vessel was made a legitimate prize, whilst we of her crew were treated with all the fairness and consideration due us as naval prisoners.
That's fine. Man, and this, because people are messaging back and forth crazy like. The Huns! A Central Asian nomad, blah, 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 blah. Okay, I guess, there.
So liberal, indeed, was the discipline of our captors that 5 days after we were taken, I managed to escape alone in a small boat with water and provisions for a good length of time.
That is just escape. Hey guys, I'll be right back. Okay, prisoner, have
When I
fun.
finally found myself adrift and free, I had but little idea of my surroundings. Never a competent navigator, I could only guess vaguely by the sun and stars that I was somewhat south of the equator. Of the longitude, I knew nothing, and no island or coastline was in sight.
Yeah, well, that's going to be a problem. But as long as you travel in a straight line, you'll eventually find something. I don't know.
Waiting.
Oh, your water's probably out too. You can't drink salt water, it'll kill you. Water everywhere, and not a drop to drink.
But neither ship nor land appeared, and I began to despair in my solitude upon the heaving vastness of unbroken blue.
This is why they let him, go. Samson! Because, like, if you leave the ship, you're going to die. You should stay on the ship. No, I'm going to go find freedom. Okay, good luck.
Else I shall never know.
That's just called heat stroke. Even the sky is wrong.
When at last I awoke, it was to discover myself half sucked into a slimy expanse of sea. Though one might well imagine that my first sensation would be of wonder at so prodigious and unexpected a transformation of scenery, I was in reality more horrified than astonished. For there was in the air, and in the rotting soil, was putrid with the carcasses of decaying fish, plain. Perhaps I should not hope to convey in mere words the unutterable hideousness that can dwell in absolute silence and barren immensity, save a vast reach of black slime, yet the fear, as though reflecting the inky marsh beneath my feet.
That's just an upside down. Dagon seemed to be inspired by Fishhead. Natural affinities between the hybrid idiot and the strange fish of an isolated lake. Supernatural horror in literature, H.P. Lovecraft. Its surface, I drink and yet feel the ooze sucking me down. In defense of Dagon. Lovecraft's interest in the topic stemmed from his aversion to fish and sea smells. In his own words, I hated fish and feared the sea for everything that gave me such a profound and lasting aversion to sea and seafood. The dweller in darkness.
Boat, I realized that only one
I once dreamed that I had passed away in my sleep, and I was in a white barracks-style room. I woke up, and I was deeply disappointed.
Of the ocean floor must have been thrown to the surface, exposing regions for which innumerable millions of years had lain hidden under unfathomable watery depths. So great was the extent of the new land which had risen beneath me that I could not detect the faintest noise of the surging ocean, straining my ears as I might. Nor were there any.
I mean, why even give me the option? I really should be
For
paying
several
attention to the
hours
story.
I sat thinking or brooding in the boat, which lay upon its side and afforded a slight shade as the sun moved across the heavens.
Well, you're definitely not doing anything to improve your situation, and you need to. You need to find a source of clean water that you can drink. You need to establish shelter with some of warmth, like a fire or something.
As the day progressed, the ground lost some of its stickiness and seemed likely to dry sufficiently for traveling purposes in a short time. That night I slept but little, and the next day I made for myself a pack containing food and water, preparatory to an overland journey in search of the vanished sea and possible rescue.
You ever get the feeling that Lovecraft would have been a much funnier writer if he wrote in 1920s slang? Like, just flapper talk? That would be so funny.
Slight and evil, and set out boldly.
Anywhere's better than here, my man. Anywhere's better than here. You can't stay here. You can't get clean water here, and that's the most important thing.
All day I fought in desert.
More and more stuff sticking out of the mud. Gotta be something I can click on. It isn't just the horizon. Scorpion tail. Whale. I mean, at least that's a source of food.
I encamped, and on the following day still travelled toward the hummock, though that object seemed scarcely nearer than when I had first espied it.
Don't look to far targets, look to near ones. Pacing. I mean, you could do something that'll fill your stomach.
By the fourth evening, I attained the base of the mound, which turned out to be much higher than it had appeared from a distance. I slept in the shadow, but ere the waning, I was...
You're gonna need to see what you're doing. You're gonna need to see what you're doing. Stream. Yep, okay. Check my stream. Yep, okay. Hey, can I put up? Hey, can I put up?
I felt myself reminiscences of Paradise Lost, and of Satan's hideous climb through the unfashioned realms of darkness. As the moon climbed higher in the sky, I began to see that the slopes of the valley were not quite so perpendicular as I had imagined. Ledges and outcroppings of rock afforded fairly easy footholds for a descent, whilst after a drop of only a few hundred feet, the declivity became very gradual.
You want me to go there? Right. Okay, let's jump.
Urged on by an impulse which I cannot definitely analyze, I scrambled with difficulty down the rocks and stood on the gentler slope beneath.
That spire? What is that?
Gazing into the Stygian deeps, where no light had yet penetrated. All at once, my attention was captured by a vast and singular object on the opposite slope, which rose steeply about 100 yards ahead of me. An object that gleamed whitely in the newly bestowed rays of the ascending moon.
My God, it's full of stars.
That it was merely a gigantic piece of stone, I cannot express.
Well, I mean, don't touch it. You'll get sucked in and turn into a... What is it, like a space fetus?
I perceived beyond a doubt that the strange object was a well-shaped monolith, whose massive bulk had known the workmanship and perhaps the worship of living and thinking creatures. Dazed and frightened, yet not without a certain thrill of the scientist's or archaeologist's delight, I examined my surroundings more closely. Above the towering steeps that hemmed in the chasm, and revealed the fact that a far-flung body of water flowed at the bottom, winding out of sight in both directions and almost lapping.
Cyclopean? Cyclopean? How do you know it's Cyclopean?
On whose surface I could now trace both inscriptions and crude sculptures.
I mean...
And unlike anything I'd ever seen in books.
I mean, it just looks like a series of sea life. And at the center is... well, you know.
Consisting for the most part of conventionalized aquatic symbols such as fishes, eels, octopi, crustaceans, mollusks, whales, and the like. Several characters obviously represented marine things which are unknown to the modern world, but whose decomposing forms I had observed on the ocean-risen plain. It was the pictorial carving, however, that did most to hold me spellbound.
Dagon contains many themes and storytelling methods that Lovecraft developed in his later works, such as telling the story through carvings and notes, which is common nowadays. Islands emerging from the ocean, Call of Cthulhu, of course, or fictional beings and deities based on real events and mythologies. There you go. I don't see. I've never read any of these books, so as much of a fan of eldritch horror as I am, I've never read any of the books. It's also considered the origin of the popular Cthulhu mythos. That's fair. Also include in a
size were an array of bas-reliefs whose subjects would have excited the envy.
No, I disagree. If you're talking about these at the bottom, I disagree. I do not think those are men. Those are clearly mermaids or some sort of...
Though the creature's lithic shrine, which appeared to be under the waves as well. Of their faces and forms I dare not speak in detail, for the mere remembrance makes me grow faint, grotesque beyond the imagination of a Poe or a Bulwer.
Could you imagine fainting? Like, or being a man who admits to fainting? That seems crazy to me. I mean, there's nothing wrong. If you have a fainting illness or whatever, that's perfectly fine. Seek treatment, get help, you know, do whatever you gotta do to take care of yourself. But it's just so weird that, like, 1920s men were just like, I faint sometimes. The remembrance of scary things causes me to be weak in my knees. It's like nowadays it's just commonplace stuff. Like, I grew up watching Alien.
They were damnably human in general outline, despite webbed hands and feet, shockingly wide and flabby lips.
Well, they're all distinctly different from one another. It's not...
Bulging eyes, and other features less pleasant to recall. Curiously enough, they seem to have been chiseled badly out of proportion with their scenic background. For one of the creatures was shown in the act of killing a whale.
Size of a whale. Yeah, I'm not fucking with you. I can't beat that.
I remarked, as I say, their grotesqueness and strange size. But in a moment decided that they were merely the imaginary gods of some about which it flung its gigantic scaly arms, the while it bowed its hideous head and gave vent to certain measured sounds.
I'm gonna pass out. Yep, I'm out.
I think I went mad then. Of my frantic ascent of the sloping cliff, and of my delirious journey back to the stranded boat, I remember little.
Not gonna lie. It's hard to go mad if you're already insane.
I believe I sang a great deal and laughed oddly when I was unable to sing. I have indistinct recollections of a great storm sometime after I reached the boat. At any rate, I know that I heard pearls of thunder and other tones which nature utters only in her wildest moods.
See, the background is way too loud. Like, I don't need to hear the rain as much as I need to hear the narration.
When I came out of the shadows, I was in a San Francisco hospital.
Oh, California. Bad movement.
Brought thither by the captain of the American ship which had picked up my boat in mid-ocean. In my delirium, I had said much, but found that my words had been given scant attention. Of any land upheaval in the Pacific, my rescuers knew nothing. Nor did I deem it necessary to insist upon a thing which I knew they could not believe.
Dude, you're saved. I can't even... Lovecraft was a prominent figure in the world of amateur journalism. Now everyone's a journalist nowadays. You just have a phone, you videotape everything instead of actually doing anything to prove life. 1915, he started publishing his own journal called The Conservative, which included political and social commentary, poetry, short stories, and literary criticisms written by him and other authors. Howard was a skilled wordsmith, but he also took criticism to heart, which resulted in the decision to step away from writing poetry and concentrate on writing fiction again. For the first time since his teen years, Dagon, published in 1919, is one of the short stories written during that period. In this example, excerpts from The Conservative, the master of horror fiction explains his attitude towards warfare and the idea of world peace. Why any sane human being can believe in the possibility of universal peace is more than the conservative can fathom. Should the entire civilized world agree simultaneously to disarm, one or more nations would undoubtedly retain secret armaments and at the proper time take advantage of their more altruistic and less astute contemporaries in a wild career of conquest against unarmed victims. No country is or ever can be above warfare until the basic impulses of the human animal shall have miraculous change. I mean, no, I get it. He's actually completely right. Terry, nice if people just were like, okay, we're gonna, because you know what would happen? The Western world would fall in a minute. Like, I don't care.
out
gun.
a celebrated ethnologist.
Ethnologist. Here we go. Dagon, or Dagon, was the Middle East as the town for grain. The ruler of Ahmad, Mesopotamia, chose him as the Patriarchan poem and the underworld prisoner warden in one of the Babylonian texts. He is often mistakenly taken word dag means fish, ruling over the deep humanoid race with fish traits that reside in the ocean. He is worshipped by a secret cult called the Esoteric Order of Dagon. I don't know a lot about cults. I really don't. I only know a little bit here and there from what I've picked up and never actually never actually researched. I don't believe that a cult would call itself the Esoteric Order of Dagon. They would call themselves the followers of Dagon. They would even call themselves Dagonites. They would not call themselves Esoteric Order of Dagon. That is wordy as hell. But maybe that's just because nowadays people don't speak like this anymore. Like people used to speak with like high intelligence. Like when someone said something, there was a purpose behind it. Now everything's shorthand, dumbed down. People try to barrel through conversations.
It was hopelessly conventional. I did not press my inquiries.
Conversations have become something for people to win, as opposed to just, inquire. Okay. August Derleth of the Cthulhu mythos. August Derleth was an American writer and anthologist. He also befriended Lovecraft and published many of his works through his company, Arkham House. That makes more sense. Although he greatly contributed to the personalization of the author's work, after his death, he is surrounded by numerous controversies. One of the most questionable decisions involves introducing the good and evil doctrine. Derleth was a devout Catholic to the Cthulhu mythos, which contrasted with Lovecraft's view of the world and his approach to cosmic horror. As a result, the author's work are often misunderstood and misinterpreted in today's culture. It is also worth noting that Lovecraft was never really interested in creating a mythology. In the term Cthulhu mythos was coined by Derleth after the author left the mortal plane. Yeah, I guess a mythology indicates some level of understanding, but how do you learn to understand something that is non-understandable? How do you fathom something that's unfathomable? I can do a full circle. How do you bring order to something that is nothing but chaos? Why did they even bring me over here? To tell me the time? I mean, it's almost 10:10.
It is at night, especially when the moon is gibbous and waning, that I see the thing. I tried morphine, but the drug has given only transient surcease and has drawn me into its clutches as a hopeless slave. So now I am to end it all, having written a full account for the information or the contemptuous amusement of my fellow men.
I'd rather not. Lovecraft on tobacco and alcohol. I don't care. I mean, I'm sure it's insightful to know, like, where he got his muses from, but I do not want to know, and he's drinking poison.
Often, I ask myself if it could not all have been a pure phantasm.
It probably was.
A mere freak of fever, as I lay sun-stricken and raving in the open boat, after my escape from the German man-of-war. This I ask myself, but ever does there come before me a hideously vivid vision in reply. I cannot think of the deep sea without shuddering at the nameless things that may at this very moment be crawling and floundering on its slimy bed, worshipping their ancient stone idols and carving their own detestable likenesses on submarine obelisks of water-soaked granite. I dream of a day when they may rise above the billows to drag down into their reeking talons the remnants of puny, war-exhausted mankind. Of a day when the land shall sink and the dark ocean shall ascend amidst universal pandemonium.
Oh, I'm still alive.
Is near.
Huh. Guess no one's gonna be able to come in and save me.
I hear a noise at the door, as of some immense slippery body lumbering against it. It shall not find me.
Oh, well, why make the effort?
God, that hand! The window! The window!
Fuck that, I'll fight it. Come on! Bring it on, motherfucker. I got a syringe. Where are you? You know, I got a lantern. I'll burn this whole fucking thing down. Why even try? And that was Dagon, the interactive short story, with slight information on World War I and stuff like that, which is fun. Hope you enjoyed the immersion yourself in our little pool of cosmic horror. We would appreciate it if you would take a moment to rate Dagon and check out other games. I mean, got to little bedtime stories. Oh no! I'm not spending $10 on it, but thank you. No, okay. Exit. I want to see what the DLC has. Like, maybe I can actually spend some money on it. I'm sorry, not spend money. Maybe there's something for free that I can look at. But it's fun. There's always a...
And scary stories have been accompanying men for centuries. They have many faces and forms, but what is their purpose? Why do we enjoy being afraid so much? During our therapy, I'll try to
That's not bad. We'll guide you through the colors of dread. Hungry for more? I didn't find them all. I looked everywhere. Little glass bottle. That also costs money.
January 1st, 1864.
Yeah, shut the fuck up. $4? No. I mean, I'm sure it's well worth the price. Railroad horror. $3. Not bad, not bad, not bad. The whole set for $10.77. I feel a little bit disappointed. Dang, there's a lot of these, isn't there? Like a whole bunch. Yeah, these are all going to cost money. Fair. Okay, yeah, they're all gonna cost money. It's fine. Trivia! I'm kind of disappointed. I thought I found them all. At least I looked everywhere I could find. Alright, well, that's Dagon. That is as much of Dagon as they're going to let me have. I mean, it's not a terrible short story. Again, people don't talk like that anymore. It's really interesting to see how intelligent people used to communicate back in the 1920s. But, yeah. Makes me miss it. Makes me miss it. Alright. Well, that's it for that, and I'll try and be on a little bit later. We'll see you guys next time.